Is there a point where you can overdo it with cleaning? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're cleaning every single day, it's going to make you feel very sensitive. And you're going to try and answer that sensitivity by cleaning yourself more and thereby making yourself more sensitive. You can potentially clean away your luck if you're doing it without guidance, like you're just using bitter herbs every day for months, or cleaning with salt every day for months. You'll dry up your luck, and you'll need to do something sweet to restore yourself. Um, anything anything that is overdone or can be potentially be overdone is bad, like anything else. We do just be moderate. I mean, I personally clean myself maybe once or twice a week. Um, if I feel like I have to clean myself every day, there's another issue that needs to be addressed. Make sure that you're not cleaning to try and solve all your problems. You still have to go out there and solve your problems. You still sometimes have to smack somebody back, right? The cleaning is just to get the funk off of you and clear the way for you to go out and do the work. But if you're like, man, my business sucks, and then you just start cleaning every day and cleaning every day, you're going to still be saying, man, my business sucks. And you're going to clean every day and clean every day and clean every day and say, man, my business sucks, but you're not doing anything to address your business. It's like these clients I used to get that wanted love, right? And then they had these awful personalities, or they never wanted to leave the house, which is still a bad personality thing, and would expect things to fall into their lap. If you got to do it every day, say maybe the environment, yeah, you could be in a bad environment and a bad living situation, and cleaning isn't gonna fix that. It's gonna help. It might help you to better cope, right? But yeah, you need to move. You got to make a plan and get yourself out of a toxic situation. You know, it's really messy. Some people are like, I'll just throw at them, but that can make a toxic situation even more messy, because you're just throwing confusion into the mix and winding everything up under the very roof that you sleep under. You know, there's a lot to be said if you're in a toxic situation, about, like, you know, that you can get out of, to just try and use as much grace as possible in your dealings with the toxic individuals, like trying not to snap back or give them the reactions that they want. You know, just keeping your mouth shut and minding your own business as much as you can. You know, having good friends that you can vent to, or a therapist or something like that, can be very helpful. Now, cleaning. You know, if you're going through therapy, right, and you're trying to unpack traumas, that's going to be a time where you're going to be doing a lot of cleaning. And I highly recommend that you clean when you're unpacking traumatic experiences. The consistent cleaning will allow these things to come to the surface and not just stick to you and potentially reintegrate, but you can actually clean them and get them off of you. And it's not that trauma's gone, but that the emotions that are all wrapped up and tied to that trauma, you know, get weakened each time that happens, until eventually you can look at your traumatic experiences with objectivity and find yourself free of them. So we're talking about people that try to clean or elevate a spirit. Okay. Now there's an opposite side of the coin, is you can pollute your spirits by making them do things that go against their nature. You can pervert them. All right. You can turn a good, hardworking spirit into a killer if you press it long enough. All right. But you have to understand that these things have their own inherent nature to them. You can only temporarily change the nature of a spirit. They are, in fact, fixed in what they are. They're not mutable in any way. They don't have any mutable qualities like we have. Can you clean a spirit? Well, every time you put out a glass of water for a spirit, and you see that glass of water get funky, and you dump the water and give it a fresh glass of water, guess what? You've just cleaned that spirit a little bit. But you can't really clean them in the sense in which you clean a person. You can do work to elevate the dead, because sometimes the dead are so messed up that they need our help to become elevated, and we do that through, if they're our dead, cleaning ourselves can help elevate them because they're sort of sharing in this nebulous experience with us. But if they're not our dead, we can offer them prayer. We can offer masses to them. Sometimes very small food offerings. That is actually a perfect description of evil, to using something against its nature. You know, sometimes we need bad spirits. I have some bad boys that I know like to do bad stuff, so I let them do what they need to do. And guess what? I'm giving that spirit an outlet to do whatever it needs to do, and then it's not hanging around me, influencing me in ways that I may not wish to be influenced. Whatever you work with is going to influence you in a certain way. Okay? And it's like whatever you keep around. You know, they talk about it in AA, you know, persons, places, things. I'm not an AA member. I've never had to go. But they talk about persons, places, things, and needing to change those because they have influence on us. All right? You spend time hanging out with people that are that are derelicts, hanging out with people that are derelicts and drug addicts. You yourself will likely fall that way. But yeah, you are going to be what you keep around yourself. If you hang out with drug addicts and all that stuff, and people that live in a lifestyle that isn't the lifestyle that you lead, eventually they'll start influencing you, and you'll start taking on qualities of them. And that's not desirable. This isn't a moral thing about you being a morally good person or them being a morally bad person. This is just, you know, metaphysics. You're going to magnetize to those polarities the more you keep them around yourself. The same is true with the spirits. If you are hanging out with spirits that like to do bad things, eventually you're going to start to want to do bad things. It's that simple. Volatile forces are going to make you volatile. I noticed that big time when I was throwing. I would be hot-headed at the smallest things. But now that I'm doing more sweet work, I feel the difference in a mental state. So, of course, it's exactly what we were, like I was just talking about. You want, what you do is what you're going to attract to yourself. If you are always throwing at people, you're going to find reasons to throw at people. And it becomes this like weird power trip, you know, bad bad loop of behavior that you create. You start acting like an asshole, you attract assholes to you, you get mad, you throw at assholes, and the next thing you know, you have more assholes, and everyone is an asshole. But the reality is that you're the asshole in the middle, you know, in the middle of all of it. And I was taught to not to do good to be a goody two shoes, but he said if you want to be blessed, you should try blessing people around you. The more you bless people around you, the more you will be blessed. You bless your spouse, you know, so that they can enjoy riches and all that. You might be the channel through which those riches come. You work for somebody, you work for a business, and your boss isn't a dick and you actually kind of enjoy being there, then you should pray for your boss and pray for that business so that business grows and that you can have more blessings. But if you start getting into, sometimes we have to defend ourselves. I'm not saying that there's any reason not to defend yourself. We have to defend ourselves. We have to make sure that we are in fact defending ourselves and not just being a jerk. You know, that's why I talk about learning to manage your feelings, learning to slow down your reactions, doing some therapy, you know, and following through and actually doing the things that you're given to do, spending some time meditating, all of that, to slow yourself down, start to understand your own motivations, the person that you truly are, right? And then you're not able to be manipulated by other people so easily. And you'll watch people, and the people that were trying to manipulate you, and they go on to other people, or you can just sit back and observe them and notice that they are just all wrapped up in these like false senses of self. It's really amusing when people that I used to think were, wow, he's a really cool guy, that exactly know thyself. I used to think, wow, this guy's a really cool guy, and now I look at him like, wow, he's an arrogant asshole, you know. And this is just something, okay? Don't encourage idiots on Facebook. You know there are people that are on there that are idiots and they say dumb shit or they say an empty-headed thing. You know, there's the like, oh, I should give it a like or I should give it a heart react. You want to see how quickly someone changes their script, stop reacting to them. It's really funny. It's really funny stuff. Some people say the most empty-headed stuff and it sounds cool, but it doesn't mean anything. I don't see very little of what I see posted actually has any sort of meaning to it whatsoever, other than the fact that when you string those words together, it sounds kind of cool. Are you a poet or are you a magician? Right? I enjoy poetry. Don't make me get out my massive box of, of Victorian era poetry. I have some Sufi stuff. I have a lot of beatnik poetry, all that stuff. I love it. I love poetry, but it has no place in having reasonable, articulate discussions on magic. If you cannot explain it simply, if you cannot explain it so that a farmer could understand it, I'm not negging on farmers. Actually, most of them are really smart. They know things that I could never understand. Okay, or I don't say never, but it would take me some effort to wrap my head around it. If you can explain something so that anybody can understand it, okay, then you truly know what you're talking about. Nobody cares about how many times someone astral projected in the yes, Edwardian prose magic. Oh yes, have you even read Yeats? But yeah, it's some silly stuff. Look, all I see is bragging. Look at how many times I astral projected this week. How many times I got possessed by the spirits. Listen to me. It's no different than someone going, oh, I'm going to LBRP. I did 16 LBRPs today. It's really silly stuff. It's extremely silly and embarrassing. And let's not add to the embarrassment by encouraging it. See it for what it is. It's people that have a piss poor social life that are coming to social media to socialize, and they have a really small sense of self. Their sense of self is so warped that they think like talking about astral projecting or anything else means anything. And it doesn't. I promise you. Is astral projecting important skill? Yes. And you know what? Maybe the next one we'll talk about how to astral project, how to get out of your body with ease, and techniques that you can do to train yourself to be able to astral project or lucid dream or scry and do all these things at will. All right. And the secret is it's the opposite of effort. It's the opposite of effort when it comes to those particular skills. That's why I'm like, it's not really a skill. It's actually the opposite of effort. If you can allow yourself to daydream, you have the ability to astral project. You have the ability to scry if you can open your mind and allow yourself to daydream. All it's going to require is to stop looking at so many screens for a few weeks, and you'll start to see the results. If you can get yourself away from screens. If you work looking at a screen, then you need to fast from screens when you're not working. Super simple stuff. You don't need special tricks. You don't need a PDF file to tell you how to do it, because there's plenty of books on the subject. I've read a lot of them, and they all basically come down to the same thing. Like learning how to relax your body, acknowledging the vibrational state when it occurs, that the vibrational state is occurring, and then the last one is just getting out and going and doing it. And there's so many different ways to do it. There's no one set of rules, but basically it's the opposite of effort. And that's where a lot of people get it wrong, is they try too hard to do these sort of things. And then when they finally manage to do it, they're like, wow, now I'm in the cool kids club. It's like, no, that's actually the first step. Learning how to open your mind to the fact that there's more to this reality than what is physical. That's the first step. So like astral projection, all of that stuff, that's the baby steps. The more doing things like this, cleaning, okay, learning how to work, learning how to call on spirits, entertain spirits, keep spirits, and get those spirits to do things for us, that's the real work, all right? And yes, astral projection can help you with interacting with spirits. Scrying is definitely a useful tool when you're interacting with spirits, but when you no longer need to do those things, because you can just, I can talk to a spirit in real time. In fact, I've got someone in the chat, and we're not going to talk about all the particulars of it. But Jordy, are you still in the chat? Maybe he's no longer. It seems like there might be connection stuff. But anyways, we were having a real-time conversation for Spirit while we were working for the Spirit. And I mean, I knew, yeah, but we were having a real-time conversation with the Spirit, remember? And we were both hearing the same things. Even though we didn't discuss what we were hearing, he knew by my responses and I knew by his responses that we were hearing the exact same thing. Because that's how it is when you work with a Spirit. They're not like, you know, now I've even had funny situations. Funny, I don't know how funny it is. So when I got named, okay, I was named by this guy who was a Tontamakut. He was known to be really dangerous. So like, be careful when you talk to him. All the other Ungas in the house were telling me. They're like, he's dangerous, you know, this and that. And I met him. He was this really old man. And he was this old Haitian guy. And I'm talking to him, and I realized, like, he had a certain spirit, right? He had a certain Loa. And I could hear his Loa talking, right? And his Loa was speaking Creole. But I knew exactly which Loa it was because I could recognize the voice and the energy and all that. They have, like, signatures, right? I knew exactly who it was. So I could hear the spirit speaking Creole to him, and I said, and then I quietly, internally asked, why aren't you speaking to me? And he goes, because you don't need to understand what I'm saying to him. So I went back and was talking to another English-speaking Unga in the house, and I was like, yeah, I saw Fritz, and I could hear his Loa talking, but he only spoke Creole. And he goes, yeah, it was the same for me. So is it a magic trick to hear spirits talk? No, it's not. It's learning how to be quiet and listen and activating that interior part of your mind. You are already able to astral project. You are already able to lucid dream. You are already able to scry. You just need to learn how to adjust the knobs to make those things come in. That's it. That's why I'm not impressed when people talk about astral projection. I'm like, yeah, cool. All right. You know, now actually do something. Most of what you're experiencing in the astral are your own mental projections. Proven that and had people prove it to themselves many times. You're typically dealing with mental projections. Is it a good thing to learn how to identify those mental projections and be able to separate them from spirits? Absolutely. It's an absolutely important skill. But after a while, you start to go, oh, that is a real spirit and not just some thought form that I created. So